She cheated with my rival, so I ended her empire. I caught her whispering his name in the dark. It wasn't mine. That was the moment I stopped being her husband. If this story hits you hard, don't forget to drop a comment, and subscribe to Viora for more unforgettable stories that speak to the heart. My name's Trevor Monroe. 5 years ago, I thought I had it all. A beautiful wife, Amelia, who lit up every room she walked into. A cozy brownstone in Brooklyn paid off with my earnings as a financial consultant. A life that felt like it was ripped from a glossy magazine. I wasn't a billionaire, but I'd built a comfortable nest egg, $3, $2 million in investments, a steady stream of clients, and a reputation for making smart calls in a cutthroat market. Amelia and I were the couple everyone envied. She was a rising star at Sterling Bank, sharp as a tack, with a smile that could close any deal. I was the guy who made numbers dance, the one who'd turn a client's shaky portfolio into a gold mine. We were unstoppable. Or so I thought. It started small. A missed dinner here, a late night at the office there. Amelia's perfume lingered less on our pillows and more on her blazers, like she was dressing for someone else. I'd catch her staring at her phone, a faint smile tugging at her lips before she'd lock the screen and say, "Just work, Trev." I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? We'd built this life together, brick by brick, from late-night takeout in our first crappy apartment to sipping wine on our rooftop, planning a future with kids in a beach house. But trust is a fragile thing. It cracks before it shatters. The first crack came on a Tuesday. I was prepping for a client meeting, skimming market trends on my laptop, when Amelia's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower, her voice humming a tune I hadn't heard in months. The screen lit up Eric Stanton. No title, no context, just his name and a message. "Missed you at the gala tomorrow." My stomach twisted. Eric Stanton wasn't just some coworker. He was the bank's golden boy, a senior VP with a penthouse in Manhattan and a reputation for getting what he wanted. I'd met him once at a company event, tall, slick, with a handshake that felt like a challenge. Amelia had laughed off his charm, calling him all talk. But that text wasn't talk. It was a hook, and I was already sinking. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I'm not the guy who jumps to conclusions. I analyze, strategize like I do with stocks. So I watched. Over the next week, Amelia's work hours stretched longer. She'd come home with her lipstick smudged, her eyes dodging mine. One night she left her laptop open on the couch. I wasn't snooping. Okay, I just needed to check her calendar for our anniversary plans. But there it was, an email from Eric. "Dinner at Le Bernardin. Wear that red dress. E." My chest tightened. Le Bernardin wasn't a work meeting. It was a date. My wife was planning a night out with another man, and I was the idiot still buying her flowers. I should have called her out right then, but I needed proof. Not for her, for me. I needed to know I wasn't crazy. So I did something I'm not proud of. I checked her phone while she slept. The passcode was our wedding date. Ironic, right? There they were, texts. Dozens of them, flirty, intimate. The kind you don't send a colleague. "Can't stop thinking about you. Your trouble, Stanton. Only for you, Ames." My hands shook as I read them. Each word was a knife carving out the life I thought we had. The final blow. A photo of them at some rooftop bar, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. She looked happier than she'd been with me in years. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in our living room staring at the framed photo of us at Coney Island, her laughing as I won her a stuffed bear. Had she been faking it even then? The next morning I acted normal, made coffee, kissed her cheek, played the part of the clueless husband. But inside I was plotting. I wasn't going to let this destroy me. I'd built my career on turning losses into wins, and this was no different. Amelia thought she could play me fine. I'd show her who Trevor Monroe really was. The first twist came a week later. I was at a client lunch when my buddy Nate, a tech guy who owed me a favor, texted me, "Track that number you gave me. It's Eric's. But there's something else, call me." Nate wasn't just good with computers. He was a bloodhound. I stepped outside and dialed him. "Trev, you're not going to believe this." He said Eric's been funneling money from Sterling Bank's accounts. Small amounts, but it adds up. Looks like he's got a side hustle, and Amelia's signing off on the transfers. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just an affair. My wife was in on a scheme with her lover, risking her career, our life, for him. I didn't know whether to be furious or impressed. She'd played me for a fool, but she'd also played herself. I needed to be smart. Confronting her now would tip them off, and I wasn't ready to lose everything. So I dug deeper. I pulled every financial record I could access legally through my own channels. Eric was siphoning funds to an offshore account, and Amelia's name was on the approvals. The amounts were small enough to slip past audits. $10,000 here, $15,000 there, but over months it was nearing $200,000. If this got out, Sterling Bank would tank, and Amelia would be done. I had leverage now, but I needed more than numbers. I needed to catch them red-handed. That's when the second twist hit. I got an invitation in the mail. Gold embossed, pretentious as hell. Eric and Amelia were throwing a gala to celebrate Sterling Bank's new branch opening. Black tie, Manhattan rooftop, the works. My name was on the envelope, like they were taunting me. Amelia hadn't mentioned it, probably assuming I'd skip it, but I RSVP'd immediately. If they wanted to play games, I'd show up and change the rules. The night of the gala, I put on my best suit, the one Amelia used to love. I looked in the mirror and saw a man who wasn't broken. Not yet. I was Trevor Monroe, the guy who'd turned a $50,000 inheritance into millions. I wasn't going to let them take that from me. When I arrived, the place was dripping with wealth. Chandeliers, champagne fountains, people who'd sell their souls for a better seat at the table. Amelia was in that red dress, laughing with Eric like they owned the world. She didn't see me walk in, neither did he. I grabbed a drink and blended into the crowd, watching them. They were good, subtle glances, a brush of hands, nothing overt, but I knew what to look for. Then Eric took the stage, all charm and swagger, toasting Amelia as the heart of Sterling Bank. The room clapped like trained seals. I felt sick. That's when he spotted me. His smile faltered just for a second before he recovered. "And let's not forget Trevor Monroe," he said, raising his glass. "The man who keeps our CFO grounded." The room laughed, but it wasn't a compliment. It was a jab, and everyone knew it. Amelia's eyes found mine wide with panic. She hadn't expected me here. I raised my glass back, smiling like I was in on the joke. But inside I was done playing nice. Eric wanted to humiliate me. Fine, I'd humiliate them both. I stepped forward, clinking my glass to get the room's attention. To Amelia, I said, my voice steady, and to Eric for showing me exactly what loyalty looks like. The room went quiet. Amelia's face drained of color. Eric's jaw tightened. They knew I wasn't bluffing. I didn't stop there. Sterling Bank's doing great. Right, I said, turning to the crowd. But I've been reviewing some interesting transactions. Maybe we should discuss them. Eric privately. The room buzzed. People love a scandal, and I just lit the match. Eric tried to laugh it off, but it was forced. Amelia grabbed his arm, whispering something frantic. I didn't care. I'd planted the seed. Let them sweat. The rest of the night they avoided me, but the damage was done. Guests whispered, glancing my way. Amelia tried to pull me aside, her voice low. Trev, what the hell was that? I looked at her, the woman I'd loved, and felt nothing. You tell me, Ames, I said. Or should I ask Eric? She froze and I walked away. I didn't need her excuses. I had a plan. The next morning I called my lawyer, a shark named Carla Hayes, who'd eat Eric for breakfast. I laid out everything, texts, emails, bank records. Can we nail them? I asked. Carla grinned. Oh, we'll do more than nail them. We'll bury them. She advised me to freeze my accounts to protect my assets, which I did that afternoon. Then I hired a PI to tail Eric. If he was dumb enough to cheat with my wife, he was dumb enough to slip up again. Days later, the PI delivered. Photos of Eric and Amelia at a hotel, plus a USB drive with recordings of their calls. Idiots used burner phones but didn't encrypt them. One clip was gold. Eric bragging about bleeding the bank dry while Amelia laughed. I had them. But I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. Not yet. I wanted them to think they'd won, to relax, to make one more mistake. That's when the third twist came. Carla called me late one night. Trev, you're not gonna like this, she said. Amelia's pregnant. My world tilted. Pregnant. We hadn't been intimate in months. The math didn't add up. It's not yours, Carla said, her voice soft. She's been seeing a doctor, talking about options. Eric's the father. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. My wife wasn't just cheating. She was building a whole new life without me. I sat in my office staring at the city skyline and made a choice. I wasn't going to be the guy who begged for scraps. I was Trevor Monroe, and I was taking back my life. I told Carla to prep the divorce papers and send the evidence to Sterling Bank's board anonymously. Let them deal with their golden couple. As for me, I was done playing the fool. The final act came a month later. I got a call from a board member thanking me for the tip. Eric was fired, facing charges for embezzlement. Amelia was on leave, her reputation in tatters. The gala stunt had started the whispers, but the evidence sealed their fate. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. I'd won. I moved out, sold the brownstone, and rented a loft in Soho. My clients stuck by me. My investments grew, and I started playing poker with Nate on weekends. Laughing for the first time in months, Amelia tried calling, leaving voicemails about explaining and starting over. I deleted them. Eric sent a pathetic email offering to make it right. I didn't reply. They weren't worth my time. One night I stood on my balcony watching the city pulse below. I thought about Amelia, about the life we'd planned, the kid that wasn't mine. It hurt, but it didn't break me. I'd built something better myself. And as the skyline glittered, I wondered, did I do enough? Or should I have burned it all down? The city never sleeps, but I did for the first time in months in my new Soho loft. The silence was my own. No whispers of Amelia's betrayal, no hum of a life unraveling. I poured a coffee black and checked my phone. A voicemail from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. Trevor, it's Lily Harper. We need to talk. It's about Amelia. Meet me at the Rusty Anchor, 7 p.m. Lily Harper, Amelia's best friend since college, the one who toasted us at our wedding with tears in her eyes. I hadn't heard from her in a year. Why now? The Rusty Anchor was a dive bar in the village, all sticky floors and neon signs. Lily was already there, nursing a whiskey, her blonde hair pulled back tight. She looked older, like the weight of something had carved lines into her face. Thanks for coming, she said, her voice low. I didn't know who else to call. I slid into the booth, my guard up. What's this about, Lily? She leaned in, eyes darting around. Amelia's in trouble. Real trouble. And it's not just Eric. My pulse quickened, but I kept my face neutral. Trouble's her middle name now. Why's that? My problem. Lily sighed, sliding a manila envelope across the table. Because you're not the only one she screwed over. Inside were bank statements, emails, and a grainy photo of Amelia with a man I didn't recognize. Not Eric. The guy was older, silver hair, expensive suit, the kind of face you'd see on a Forbes cover. Who's this? I asked. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. Vincent Caldwell, hedge fund king. He's been bankrolling Eric's scheme, and Amelia's his front. She didn't just sign off on transfers, Trev. She's been laundering money for him. I leaned back, the air in the bar suddenly too thick. Laundering money. Amelia was ambitious. Sure, but this was next level. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Lily's eyes hardened. Because she threw me under the bus. Caldwell's people think I'm the leak, I'm being followed. Trev, I need your help. I almost laughed. Help, the woman who'd known about Amelia's affair and said nothing. But the documents were real. Too real. Dates, amounts, account numbers. Millions, not thousands. If this was true, Amelia wasn't just cheating. She was neck deep in a criminal empire. I took the envelope and left without promising anything. Back at my loft, I spread the papers across my desk. The numbers told a story. Shell companies' offshore accounts, transactions routed through Sterling Bank. Amelia's signatures were everywhere, bold and reckless. But something didn't add up. Why would Lily risk her neck to give me this? I called Nate, my tech guy. Can you dig into Lily Harper, financials, connections, anything? He grunted. You owe me a steak, man. I didn't laugh. 2 days later. Nate delivered Lily's clean, mostly. But get this. She's been meeting with a federal agent, undercover guy named Paul Grayson. Looks like she's wearing a wire. My jaw tightened. Lily wasn't just scared. She was a snitch, feeding the feds to save her own skin. And now she'd dragged me into it. I wasn't just fighting Amelia and Eric anymore. I was in the crosshairs of a federal investigation and a hedge fund titan who probably had guys on speed dial to make problems disappear. I didn't have time to process it. That night my buzzer rang. I checked the camera. Amelia standing in the rain, her coat soaked through. Against my better judgment, I let her up. She looked like hell, mascara streaking hands trembling. Trev, I messed up, she said, voice cracking. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I crossed my arms, leaning against the counter. What, the affair or the money laundering? Her eyes widened like I'd slapped her. You know? I nodded at the envelope on my desk. Yeah, Ames, I know. She sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Eric said it was just a few deals, easy money. Then Caldwell got involved and I couldn't get out. Her voice broke, but I didn't move. I'd heard her tears before and they'd cost me everything. Why are you here? I asked. She looked up, eyes desperate. They're coming for me. Trev, the feds. Eric's gone. He bolted last night. I need you to help me disappear. I laughed, sharp and cold. You think I'm your getaway car? After everything, she stood grabbing my arm. I know I hurt you, but I loved you. I still do. I pulled away, her touch burning. You loved me so much you slept with Eric and lied to my face. Get out. She didn't move, just stared like she could will me to care again. Then she whispered, I'm not the only one who's lying. Trev asked Lily about her meetings. The room went still. What meetings? I asked. Amelia's lips curled, a ghost of her old confidence. She's not your friend. She's using you to clean up her mess. She grabbed her coat and left the door, clicking shut like a gunshot. I stood there, rain tapping the windows, my mind racing. Was Amelia playing me again, or was Lily the real snake? I didn't trust either of them, but I needed answers. The next twist came fast. Nate called at dawn. Got something on that agent, Grayson. He's legit, but he's got a side gig consulting for Caldwell's firm. Looks like he's playing both sides. My stomach dropped. The feds weren't just after Amelia, they were dirty, and Lily was their pawn. I was a loose end, and loose ends don't last long in this game. I told Nate to lay low and called Carla, my lawyer. We need to move. I said now. Carla didn't flinch. I've got a contact at the SEC. We can leak the documents anonymously, blow this wide open. But it's risky. Trev Caldwell's connected politicians, cops. You name it. I didn't care. I wasn't going to let Amelia, Eric, or some crooked fed take me down. Do it, I said. By noon, the papers were with Carla's contact. By evening, news outlets were sniffing around Sterling Bank. I watched the headlines roll in from my laptop, my pulse steady. The dominoes were falling, but the game wasn't over. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. Back off Monroe, or your next. Attached was a photo of me leaving the Rusty Anchor. Someone was watching. I didn't panic. I'd been in high-stakes deals before, staring down clients who'd bet their fortunes on my advice. This was just another bluff. I forwarded the text to Carla and told her to loop in her SEC guy. Then I did something stupid. I called Lily. She picked up on the first ring, voice shaky. Trev, what's wrong? I didn't waste time. Who's Grayson really working for? Silence. Then I don't know what you're talking about. I pushed harder. Don't lie to me. Lily, Amelia knows about your Fed buddy. What's your angle? She hung up. I cursed, tossing my phone onto the couch. 10 minutes later, my buzzer rang again. I checked the camera. Nobody. Just a package at the door. Inside was a USB drive and a note. Watch this, then run. I plugged the drive into my laptop, my gut screaming to stop. It was a video timestamped 2 days ago. Lily meeting Grayson in a parking garage, slipping him an envelope. His voice was clear. Monroe's a problem. Caldwell wants him gone. Lily nodded, her face blank. The video cut to black. My hands went cold. Lily wasn't just a snitch. She was setting me up to take the fall, or worse. I didn't sleep. I packed a bag, moved cash to a new account, and called Nate. I need a favor, big one. He didn't hesitate. Name it. By morning, he'd hacked into Lily's email, pulling threads. I couldn't believe she'd been feeding Grayson dirt on Amelia and Eric, but also on me, my investments, my clients, even my tax records. She was building a case to paint me as the mastermind behind the laundering scheme. If the feds bought it, I'd be in cuffs by sundown. I had one play left. I met Carla at a diner in Queens, far from prying eyes. We flipped the script, I said, sliding her the USB leak, this to the press. Not the feds. Let the world see Grayson and Lily for what they are. Carla's eyes gleamed. You're playing with fire. Trev. I shrugged. Fire's all I've got. She nodded and got to work. By nightfall, the video was with a reporter at the Post, no names attached. I didn't watch the news, I didn't need to. The city was about to explode and I was the match. But the final twist hit like a freight train. I got a call from Amelia, her voice frantic. Trev, they found Eric. He's dead. My blood froze. What she was sobbing now. Car crash upstate. They're saying it wasn't an accident. Trev, I'm scared. I didn't know what to feel. Eric was a snake, but dead and not an accident. Caldwell was tying up loose ends and Amelia was next. Maybe I was too. I hung up and stared at the city outside my window. The skyline wasn't glittering anymore. It was a jungle and I was prey. I'd started this to take back my life. But now I was in deeper than ever. Amelia, Lily, Grayson, Caldwell. They were all pieces on a board I didn't fully understand. And somewhere someone was watching, waiting for me to make the wrong move. The city's pulse felt like a countdown. Eric's death wasn't a car crash. It was a message. I stood in my loft, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket, the skyline outside no longer a refuge, but a cage. Amelia's call had shaken me, but I wasn't running to her rescue. Not anymore. I had to move fast. Smarter than the players trying to corner me. Lily, Grace, and Caldwell. They thought I was a pawn. They were about to learn. I was the one flipping the board. I called Nate first. "You still got that burner laptop?" I asked. His voice was tense. "Yeah, but Trev, this is getting heavy." "You sure I wasn't, but I didn't have a choice. Set it up. I need to trace that text. The one with my photo. If someone was tailing me, I'd find them first." Nate worked his magic, and by morning he had a hit. The number was registered to a shell company tied to Caldwell's empire. No surprise there, but the location data. That was the first twist. The text was sent from a burner phone pinged at a coffee shop 2 blocks from my loft. Whoever was watching wasn't just close, they were practically breathing down my neck. I didn't wait. I grabbed my jacket, tucked a pocket knife into my boot just in case, and headed to the coffee shop. It was a hipster joint. All exposed brick and overpriced lattes. I scanned the room, a couple on laptops, a barista scrolling her phone, an older guy in a trench coat reading a newspaper. Something about him felt off too. Still too aware, I ordered a black coffee and sat where I could watch him. 10 minutes later, he folded his paper, glanced my way, and left. I followed. He moved fast for an old guy, weaving through pedestrians like he knew the streets blind. I kept my distance, heart pounding, until he ducked into an alley. Bad move. I rounded the corner, ready to confront him, but the alley was empty. No doors, no exits, just a brick wall and a dumpster. I cursed under my breath. Either I'd lost him or he'd wanted me to. My phone buzzed. Another text. Same unknown number. "Stop digging, Monroe. You won't like what you find." Attached was a new photo. Me standing in the coffee shop taken minutes ago. I spun around, scanning the street. Nothing, just the hum of the city and the weight of eyes I couldn't see. Back at the loft. I was done playing defense. I called Carla, the leak to the post. "Any blowback?" She sounded grim. "Oh, it's blowing all right. Grayson's suspended pending investigation. Lily's gone dark, probably hiding. But Caldwell's untouchable so far. His lawyers are circling like vultures. I told her about the texts, the photos. She didn't miss a beat. You're a target now. Trev, get out of the city. I'll handle the rest." I wasn't running, though. Not yet. I had one card left to play. And it was a long shot. The second twist came that afternoon. Nate called, his voice a mix of panic and awe. "Trev, I hacked into Caldwell's personal server. Don't ask how, but I found something. He's not just bankrolling the laundering. He's got dirt on half the city, politicians, cops, even Sterling Bank's board. And get this, there's a file on you." My mouth went dry. "What kind of file?" Nate hesitated. "It's personal stuff about your parents, your old deals, even your high school record. He's been building a case to discredit you for years." Years. I sat down hard, the room spinning. My parents had died in a car accident when I was 20, a hit and run that was never solved. I'd always thought it was random. But Caldwell collecting dirt on me back then. It didn't add up unless he'd known I'd be a problem long before Amelia's affair. I told Nate to send me the file. When it hit my inbox, I braced myself. It was worse than I thought. Photos of my parents' crash police reports, and a memo from Caldwell's firm Monroe Family Neutralized. Proceed with acquisition. My parents' death wasn't an accident. It was a hit tied to a deal I'd never even known about, a real estate grab my dad had opposed when I was still a kid. I didn't have time to grieve. The file also mentioned a meeting tonight at a warehouse in Red Hook. Caldwell was there tying up loose ends. If I wanted answers, I had to go. I grabbed my keys, ignoring Carla's warning texts. This wasn't about Amelia or Eric anymore. This was about my family, my life, everything I'd lost before I even knew I was in the game. The warehouse was a rusted husk, the kind of place where deals go to die. I parked a block away, the pocket knife heavy in my boot. The air smelled of oil and salt from the waterfront. Inside voices echoed low, sharp. I crept closer, staying in the shadows. Caldwell was there, silver hair gleaming under a flickering bulb, flanked by 2 guys who looked like they bench-pressed cars for fun. Across from him was Lily, her hands zip-tied, face bruised. Grayson stood nearby, gun in hand, his Fed badge nowhere in sight. "You promised me immunity." Lily spat, her voice raw. Caldwell chuckled, cold as ice. "You're a liability, Harper." So was Stanton Monroe's next. My blood roared in my ears. They'd killed Eric, and I was on their list. Grayson shifted, scanning the dark, and I ducked lower. Then the third twist hit. Amelia stepped out from behind a crate, her face pale but composed. "Vincent, you don't need to do this," she said. "I'll take the fall. Just let Lily go." I froze. Amelia here, pleading for Lily. Caldwell's smile was venomous. "You're sweet, Amelia, but you're done. You and your husband both." He nodded at Grayson, who raised his gun. I didn't think. I grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and swung it at a stack of crates, sending them crashing. The noise was deafening. Grayson spun, firing blindly, and I bolted, heart-hammering. Shouts followed, then footsteps. I made it to my car tires, screeching as I peeled out. In my rear view, the warehouse shrank, but the weight of what I'd seen didn't. I drove to a motel in Jersey. Cash only, no ID. My phone was off, battery out. I needed to think Amelia wasn't just a victim. She'd walked into that warehouse ready to sacrifice herself for Lily for me. Or was it another lie? And Caldwell's file, my parents' death, his long game, it was too big, too deep. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting for my life. The next morning, the news broke. The Post ran the warehouse story based on an anonymous tip. Carla's work, no doubt. Caldwell's empire was crumbling. His name splashed across every headline. Grayson was arrested, caught on a traffic cam near the warehouse. Lily was in protective custody, her bruises making her a martyr online. Amelia was missing, no trace since the warehouse. Part of me wanted to find her to demand answers. Part of me hoped she was gone for good. I met Carla at a park, hood up, sunglasses on. "You're a ghost now, Trev," she said, handing me a new passport. "Caldwell's people are still out there. Lay low." I nodded, but my mind was on that memo. My parents' crash. I couldn't let it go. "There's one more thing," I said. "I need to know who ordered the hit on my family." Carla's eyes softened. "You sure?" That road's dark. I was sure. I'd lost too much to stop now. Weeks later, I was in a small town upstate. A new name, a new life. The headlines had quieted, but the internet was alive with theories about Sterling Bank Caldwell and the mystery man who'd blown it all open. I didn't read them. I worked odd jobs, kept my head down, and dug into Caldwell's past with a burner laptop. Then the final twist came. A package arrived. No return address. Inside was a letter handwritten in Amelia's scrawl. "Trev, I'm sorry. I didn't know about your parents. I found this after the warehouse. Burn it when you're done." With it was a flash drive. I hesitated, then plugged it in. It was a recording Caldwell years ago, ordering the hit on my family to secure a deal. Amelia's voice followed, shaky. "I took this from his safe. I thought it would fix things. It won't run. Trev, don't look back." I sat there, the weight of her words sinking in. She'd betrayed me, lied, cheated, but she'd risked everything to give me this. Was it redemption guilt? I'd never know. She was gone. Maybe dead, maybe hiding. I burned the letter, deleted the file, and walked outside. The sky was gray, promising rain. I felt lighter, but not free. I stood at a crossroads, literally, and not. One path led to revenge, chasing Caldwell's shadow until it consumed me. The other led to letting go, living for myself, not the ghosts of my past. I didn't choose that day. I just walked the town, fading behind me the future, a blank page. Did I owe Amelia forgiveness? Did I owe myself peace? I didn't know. Maybe I never would. Like what you heard? Hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Viora, because the next story might just be your favorite one yet.